Welcome to the C-Suite podcast that we're producing from Money20 Europe here in Amsterdam. I'm Graham Barrett, and together with Debbie West, we will be talking to a number of the speakers and attendees here at the conference.
We're producing this show in partnership with Remote, the global HR platform and sponsor at Money20, and we really hope you enjoy these conversations, which should give you some insight into the hot topics for discussion here at the event.
Okay, very pleased to say I'm now here with Scarlett Sieber, who is Chief Strategy and Growth Officer at Money20. Scarlett, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thanks for having me. Another continent, another conversation. Looking forward to it.
Last time was in Vegas, now we're in Amsterdam. So,
absolutely.
Well, tell me about this event. Let's kick off with that. What's new? What's exciting? What are the key themes?
So much new, so much exciting. I think one of the things that we try to do is build off of and add to what we've done in the past. So our merch machine was a great success last year. We've done version 2 of that. Our exchange, our main stage, we've taken that to the next level. In terms of the overarching theme, what we are focusing on for Money20 globally, so when you come back to Vegas, you'll see it again, is the human by machine theme. So you see that throughout every activation, across our content, anything that you're looking at, there will be that incorporated in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, sounds awesome. Now, you told us on the last podcast in Vegas that Money20 has a great reputation for announcements, which it clearly does.
Yep.
So what can you tell us about this year? What's going on?
So lots of announcements. Actually, about 2.5, 3 hours ago, we had our press lunch, which was really nice. And so we'll talk about Asia in a second, and I'll talk a little bit about what happened over there. But yes, big announcements happen here. It's true again. So probably the two biggest one, ironic or maybe not ironic, two of the biggest networks, Visa and MasterCard, both had big announcements today. But at the press lunch, we had 2 partnership announcements, we had 2 product announcements, and we had some interesting, fresh new data. So on the partnership announcement side, Nium and Remote, there was a partnership.
We heard about it earlier.
There.
Yeah.
You might have heard about that. There was something happen over there. We obviously, so the MasterCard one was with Bank, which was quite interesting. So thinking about Europe last year, Ollie, the CEO of Bank, was the most popular session of the entire agenda. Right. So it was quite interesting now that, fast forward a year later, and then there's the announcement between MasterCard and Bank. And what was so cool about that is, so, Bank has 12.5 million users, and through this new relationship focus on open banking with MasterCard, it's really benefiting the end consumer, which I think is a really important part, where it allows them to have full access to their financial lives within the Bank platform. So we're going to talk about AI maybe a little bit. Obviously human by machine is part of that. If you think about our larger agenda, let's say for a nice round number, roughly 20% of the content will have some form or mention of AI in some capacity. Yep. So Bank has their AI chatbot, Finn. But anyways, one of the things that's really nice about what they're doing with MasterCard is now, as a Bank user, you can, through Bank or beyond, see your entire financial life, whether or not it's with Bank or with ING or with BNP Paribas or whatever else. You can see that all through Bank. So that was the big announcement that happened here, there. And then we got, like I said, a lot of nice new products coming to market, and we have much more tomorrow and Thursday as well.
Yeah. Look forward to those. Now, you alluded to Money20 Asia there, the first time that you've been to the continent, and you launched that in Bangkok earlier this year. How was it? Did it fulfill everything you thought it might?
It did. So that was our inaugural launch in Bangkok. So we had over 3,000 attendees, which was great for year one. Super senior audience. In fact, even a bit more senior than the other shows. Very, very close in numbers, though. And one of the things, there was a few key things there. So back to the announcements things. We had 5 companies who were presenting at our press lunch. Each one of them had one of the big banks. So Kaiserkorn Bank, one of the biggest banks in Thailand, made an announcement with JP Morgan about a joint project, Project Karina, which is all around cross-border payments using blockchain, which was the one that got a lot of attention. But you had HSBC doing some big announcements there. You had Samsung talking to someone else. There was all, Mambu, a fintech, was partnering with the bank talking about Islamic banking. So there was a lot that was happening. We had a bunch from the regulators as well. So I'd say one of the things that we saw, and we've seen it a bit here too, Vegas 2022, we had the CFPB come and make an announcement around 1033. So we've also seen a much stronger tendency around regulation at our shows, and our content team has been very intentional about continuing to evolve the quality and caliber of regulators coming. So in any case, fast forward to Asia, the biggest keynote, most popular keynote in Asia was the Bank of Thailand.
Okay.
Standing room only, most favorited session by far. So that was a really big win. We had a closed door session with 6 regulators from the region, which was really popular. Also had a bunch of the associations come together. There were some MOUs signed, one between the Australian government with the Thai FinTech Association. So lots of good things. For year one, I think, I'm a very harsh critic, especially of ourselves, but I do feel proud, and I think it was a great success.
Yeah, and we were just talking off mic about the industry nights as well. It sounded like there was some spectacular evening events in Bangkok as well.
Oh, they were a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Money Under Moonlight, which was incredible. Beautiful lanterns, big moon, lots of photo opportunities, and people seemed to really connect to it, which was awesome.
Yeah. So I guess the obvious question after all that, where can you go next?
Oh, so many answers to that. I mean, I think right now we want to double down. We think, obviously the world is global and money is global in many ways, but to the point around regulation, a lot of those rules are local. Mm-hmm. And so the 3 key markets to us are the ones that we're in, the US, Europe, and Asia. But we do have some other surprises coming, speaking of announcements. So you gotta wait when you come back to Vegas. You'll see what else we gotta announce and share.
You're just going to tease that out there. You're not going to tell us now. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there's always more to come though.
Sounds good. Listen, we always appreciate you taking the time to speak to us on the C-Suite podcast. Scarlett, Sieber, thank you for joining me.
Thank you. So happy to be here. Thanks again.
Joining me now is Alex Johnson, the Chief Payments Officer at Nium. Alex, how's your Money 2020 going?
It's going very well. It's a whirlwind of a couple days, but it's good. It's great.
Yeah. Well, talk to me first of all about your session here at Money 2020. It's all about cross-border payments, correct?
Correct, yeah. We're talking about really the evolution of cross-border payments. If you think about cross-border payments and the innovation you see in the space, a lot of the time you see it start in like the consumer realm. The instantaneous payments we were able to make domestically to one another. But over time, you need to evolve that into other realms. And so we look at how then that expands into enterprise payments and how do you make an enterprise payment feel the same as a remittance payment, right? So there's these threads of evolution you see. Like I often use the term consumerization into that world. So we'll talk a lot about kind of that journey, and as you've seen changes in the geopolitical aspect of things, and you've seen changes in the globalization of the workforce, et cetera, how does that also influence the innovation and the evolution that we see in transactions? And for us, particularly as Nium, we see this huge opportunity to disrupt in that space of enterprise, so think B2B, B2P transactions. I think there's really this ripe opportunity, again, to make those transactions feel similar to a remittance, where it's instant, you have access to information, it's seamless, it's reliable, all of those things, and that's really where we're focused on. But the panel is going to be talking really about that journey.
Sure. And you're busy here at Money 2020 because you've also got a big announcement, haven't you?
Yes.
Tell me something about that.
I'd love to. So we have...
Ties into where we are now, maybe.
It does, interestingly enough. So we're really excited to make an announcement that we're partnering with Remote. So we will be supporting their global payments to the globalized workforce that they support. We are starting with, I think, about 20 plus currencies, and then hopefully we'll get the opportunity to expand to the 120 plus that we have within our network at Nium. I mean, it's a really, really great opportunity for us. We're super excited, and it's something that we're really almost honored to be able to do, because these are payments that are very, very meaningful. They are critical payments when you're talking about money that someone has earned, right? This has the potential to change people's days, people's lives. It's socioeconomic impact if you can't make these payments, and the fact that Remote is confident in Nium to rely on us to do that is great. We're really happy to be a strong provider in that space.
It seems like a really natural fit between the two companies. Is that fair to say?
I would say so, yeah. I would absolutely say so.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about, we're talking about the global workforce, as you just mentioned there. Now, obviously, we've got remote working models, distributed teams, we've got the gig economy. So how are all these things impacting on global payments? And how are we going to address all these different kind of areas, if you like?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few, right? And that's one of the things that I really love about this space is it is so dynamic. No two payments are the same. No two sender-receiver pairs are the same. No purpose is the same. But money movement needs to happen, and you need to be able to somehow solve for these use cases. And I think for us, in particular, like we've really honed in on where we want to be focused because we want to do it right. But when you think about, payroll, gig economy falls into that very easily. It's, you're talking about similar things as payroll. You're paying individuals usually who are offering some sort of service or a product or a small business. And we actually also announced we have a marketplace solution which really ties again into like the gig economy when you think about marketplaces where you have small, medium businesses selling, individual sole proprietors selling, and how do you pay those people? And you see a lot of e-commerce, marketplace, gig economy driven on a global scale. But then the challenge is then how do you pay those people easily? So that is something that we're really focused on, and like I said, we just made an announcement that we have a marketplace specific solution that we've just launched at Nium as well.
And you kind of alluded to it earlier, but paying people promptly and on time, no matter what kind of work they do, is a key way to retain staff. So I know you've only been at Nium, a month now or something like that, is that right? But how do you go about recruiting and retaining the top talent in the fintech industry? Yeah,
it's a really good question, and honestly it's something that I'm even personally quite passionate about. Especially being a woman in the fintech space, there's not enough of us, right? So I think one of it is how do you make sure that you're leaving those opportunities open for a diverse set of talent, for diverse pool, and not just women, right? I'm talking about diversity as a whole. But part of that also in tandem and in partnership is the benefits that you offer, which, efficient payroll, being able to work remotely or be able to work in a hybrid environment, being able to almost, source the entire globe for talent, regardless of, what the role is. I mean, sure, there are some roles that are going to be like very important from a geographic perspective, but how do you open your borders, I guess, when it comes to hiring, which again, it's going to help you get more diverse talent. It's going to help you get the best, truly the best of the best, if you're able to pay people anywhere in the world. But then other benefits, right? Like what are all the additional benefits on top of that you're able to offer to be able to attract and retain talent? And I've been in fintech before. I went to the banking world. I'm back in fintech, so they're doing something right that I ended up back here. But
they got you, doing something right.
They got me back in fintech, so something's going right in that realm.
Well, listen, it's exciting times, lots of announcements, lots of recruitment by the sounds of it. What's next for Nium in the kind of near future?
Yeah, well, we're going to continue to disrupt the B2B payment space and the B2P payment space, really the enterprise world. In my role, I really manage our entire network that we built to support that. So how do we continue to bolster that network? We completely own our network as Nium. We are direct or going with a direct banking partner wherever we're entering a market. So how do we make sure we have the right partners in place, that we have the right corridors available with the right customer experience? So just continuing to refine and just bolster that up. But then also how do we add some of those value-added capabilities on top of the network? Things like being able to confirm an account before you send a transaction separate from a transaction, fraud prevention tools. How do you get more information out of the network? How do you meet customers where they are as far as how they want to initiate transactions? So that's also kind of where we're going is we've built this, I can't take credit, right? I've only been here a month, but Nium has built this incredible network. But then how do we just level that up? How do we build upon that? How do we continue to meet the needs of our customers and stay focused on that, right? It's all about the customer experience and improving that and making sure that they have the capabilities they need.
Yeah. Well, listen, we'll look forward to meeting you at another Money 2020. We can find out how all of that is going. But Alex Johnson, thank you for joining me here today.
Thank you for having me. This is wonderful. Thank you.
Well, I'm absolutely delighted to be speaking with Jakob Pethick, who is Chief Commercial Officer from YouLend. Welcome to the podcast, Jakob.
Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure. Well, YouLend is up on stage with Booking.com, and you're talking about the power of embedded finance in the travel sector. So what can audiences expect from your session?
So it will be a pretty informal session. I'm up there with Crystal Carson from Booking. She's a director in the FinTech unit at Booking. Booking, they do a lot of financial service innovation. A lot of it has been around payments. What we're up there to talk about is our partnership where we are offering financing to some of the hotel partners on the Booking platform. Booking, they see that their hotel partners face challenges around seasonality, cash flow, not being able to grow their businesses due to lack of capital, and that's one of the problems they would like to solve. So we're up there to talk a little bit about how embedded finance is moving into the travel sector as well. At YouLend, we have a privileged perspective of working with companies across a lot of different verticals. We work with Booking in the travel space, but we also work with companies in the e-commerce space, in payments, in food delivery. And we're just really seeing this trend towards more and more embedded financial services. And what Crystal and I will be talking about is really just that.
Yeah, perfect. That sounds great. And YouLend has expanded quite a lot in recent years, both Europe and across the USA. So what's driven that growth, and how does YouLend's product compare with traditional alternatives?
Really what's driven the expansion for us has been demand. So if you think about the two customers we serve, one of them are small businesses. In all the markets we're live in today, they struggle to access financing. It's either very slow or they can't even get it at all. But when they do get it, they tend to grow faster, they create more jobs, and it really creates a very good positive effect. Now, so we've seen a lot of demand from small businesses. We've also seen a lot of demand from tech platforms, from payment companies who increasingly want to solve the problem for their underlying business customers. So whether that's Amazon, who has a lot of e-commerce sellers who would like to get financing, or whether it's a Molly payment business in the Netherlands who has a lot of small business customers who can't access finance, we really see a lot of demand from partners as well. So even though you could think of the US and Europe and UK being quite separate markets, we're actually seeing it's the same underlying problem that we're solving, and we see kind of a good role for us to play in solving that.
And so what are the challenges of growing a business internationally and building a strong workplace culture?
I really think culture, I should say, is the key part of it. So YouLend today, we're headquarters in London, but we also have an office in Atlanta. And the offices are different sizes. And I think what's been really difficult, or not difficult, but really a challenge for us, is making sure that we give each office its own space to operate the way it needs to be. So in the US, we have, I say, more of a startup culture, a little bit earlier stage, and it's been important for us to carve out autonomy for that office. We have leadership there locally, trying to make sure they have ring-fenced resources so they can run it independently, even though they can still draw on resources from the mothership back in London when they need to. So I think for us, we've had to be quite thoughtful about creating autonomy for each office so that you don't feel like you're just an afterthought in any market. But yeah, I think that's the biggest challenge. Of course, you have lots of basic business challenges as well when you grow in a new market, but they're in many ways the same challenges that each business faced a few years earlier. So in the UK, when we opened, we had to find customers, we had to find banking partners, we had to work with the regulator, and those are all the same problems we go through in each market as well.
Yeah, so you can learn those lessons from each other and still retain that element of autonomy. Yeah, that sounds perfect. Great. Well, I understand that you recently published an impact report. So what are some of the ways that embedded financing is uplifting small businesses and marginalised communities?
That's correct. So YouLend, we work with Experian to review some of the customers we had financed. So we looked at about 100,000 small businesses that we had financed to see what had the financing done for them. Some of the findings we had were that small businesses that receive financing through YouLend tend to grow a bit faster. They tend to grow about 26% faster than their peers, which is quite a lot. And that ends up contributing about 7 billion of GDP. So it's a really, really positive social multiplier there. When we look at some of the small business, they also tend to employ more staff. So on average, each business we fund will employ about one more person. So there's a really strong job creation element. One of the reasons I originally started looking into financial services for small businesses was really because of this multiplier effect. Small businesses are the backbone of the economy, and they're often marginalized and not served very well by traditional institutions. So what's been really key for us is finding a way to access the underserved, and that just has a good impact. I think some of the communities where we see the most impact is for female-led businesses and minority-led businesses. So I think female-led businesses tend to not apply very much for financing compared to male-led businesses, and they also tend to obtain financing at a less good rate than male-led businesses. But at YouLend it's actually inverse, and we put that down to some of our unbiased algorithms that really just look at business performance and not so much of the historical data.
Yeah, excellent. And you're right, that does sound really uplifting. That's great. Well, thanks so much for sharing that with us. And then Jakob, Pethick, thank you very much for joining the podcast.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm here with Hana, who's the UK CEO of Paynetics. Hana, how's your Money 2020?
So far, so good. First day, lots of energy, lots of meetings, but really excited about being here.
Yeah, now talk to me about embedded finance, because that's a big topic here at Money 2020, isn't it?
Yes.
How does Paynetics fit into that?
So we are an embedded finance platform, of course. We are, and as you know, there is many different fintechs and platforms talking about embedded finance. I think in Europe there's more than 800 fintechs in this space, each of them doing something slightly different. Mm-hmm. What we do, we issue cards, we issue payment accounts, and we also are an acquirer. So we have this platform that is capable to embed financial services, issuing, acquiring into other digital platforms. And so that's what we do.
Yeah. Now, tell me about some of these new partnerships that you've got on at the moment. There's one in particular I think you want to share here at Money 2020.
So we are very excited that one of our very new partners is Trading212, which is a leading European Forex player. Of course, they are very successful in their traditional business model, which is Forex and trading. But what we have enabled them for is to extend their proposition to provide cards and accounts to their customers. And they are doing it because they, of course, want to provide a greater amount of services to their customers to achieve greater customer stickiness, but also, of course, as additional revenue stream. And so they have launched recently in UK, and we are very happy with the partnership so far.
Yeah, okay, well that sounds brilliant. So talk to me then, we're asking all our guests today about how their kind of workplace structure operates really, I guess. Now, you've got a hybrid workforce model, don't you, at Paynetics, is that right?
Yes, very much so. And yep. I think many technologies companies probably must as well, because of course we have headquarters in Sofia in Bulgaria, where the majority of our employees are, but then a lot of our go-to-market people are in the different markets in Europe, mm-hmm. and also we have a UK entity based in London. Mm-hmm. And so of course we need to operate this hybrid model where some of the people work full-time from home, of course meeting clients, and then commuting maybe once or twice a year. We actually try to bring everyone together to achieve that togetherness, engagement, and to create those happy memories.
Yeah. What do those events look like? Is that more of a social kind of thing, or is that work-based?
Very much so.
Very
I
much
think
social.
The last one we had the conscious decision to actually we did not have a single slide. It was all just team building and of course big party.
Yeah.
Which is they do them well in Bulgaria.
Yeah. I bet they do, yeah. As a leader, what are the challenges when it comes to remote working and distributed teams, and how do you overcome them, I guess?
Definitely there are challenges linked to that communication and engagement. You just have to deal with it because, of course, we want to be close to partners. We want to be, our head of sales is based in France. We have employees in UK as well, and we just need to make do. So it's about the communication, some team building, and over-investing in engagement.
Now, you've spoken about these different offices you have, and I understand there's more expansion to come. How are you kind of managing that expansion? How are you finding the right people? How are you going to grow and grow profitably, I guess?
So it's always a challenge,
yep.
The prioritization, because of course you want to, there's so much opportunity in the market. We have grown the business 100% year on year. And again, we are planning to achieve the same. And so it's about focusing not only on geographical expansion, we want to open office in every big country in Europe, but also then expanding the product set, improving the capabilities we have, and so on. So it's a prioritization about the resources that we have, but it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. And where do you find the best talent? Where do you go to bring that talent into the business?
combination of referrals and, of course, the hubs we focus on, the technology hubs are in several centers in Eastern Europe.
Yeah. Well, we wish you all the best with that expansion. Thank you so much for joining me today at Money 2020. Hana Rolls.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
I'm very happy to be speaking with Andy Davies, who's Global Head of Payments at Endava. Andy, welcome to the podcast.
No, thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. So you spoke at a session and it's called Addressing Payment Headwinds at 35,000 feet. So that sounds intriguing. What were the main topic areas of that?
So the main topics were focusing on that careful balance of how do airlines put consumers first, provide the ways that consumers want to pay, and then how do the airlines manage the complexity of this? Because airlines are going through ongoing change. They're selling directly to customers increasingly, where historically they'd sell more through travel operators, and that's a change in the landscape. They're having to adapt and sell their tickets in multiple countries, multiple currencies, multiple processes. But then to add into that complexity, they're adopting marketplace models. So they are, from one perspective, becoming OTAs in their own right. So I can now go buy an airline ticket, I can pay for my hotel, I can buy my holiday insurance, I can buy a car hire voucher. That's meaning they have to adapt even further. They have to tackle both the complexity of consumer payments, some of the regulatory challenges in the middle of marketplace models, and then complex B2B ecosystems where they need to pay their partners and suppliers. So it's an interesting conversation, lots of good insights from our partners in Aer Lingus, and working with Paul and Alexandra from the papers as well.
Yeah, brilliant. So how does Endava fit into that picture?
So at the heart of it, we're working in two areas. One is taking companies like Aer Lingus and helping them navigate the ecosystem. So which are the right payment solutions to pick? How do I build a solution that addresses the regulatory challenges? And how do I pick B2B partners? So helping them understand the landscape is the first thing we work with companies like airlines on. But going past that, we then help them build these solutions. So this is about wiring together a network of partners and providers in that landscape, so that they can provide a holistic solution to their customers. The other side of the area we're engaging with is many of those partners that they'll look at and consider using. We're working with those companies as well, the fintechs, the payment providers of the world, to help them build the future state platforms that all of them need, and all of them need to adopt and manage.
Yeah, absolutely. And lots of businesses are looking to streamline and create operational efficiencies. So what does that look like from a fintech perspective?
So from fintech, it's how do I build tools that will allow merchants to be more efficient. So in some cases this might be about streamlining your payment acceptance routes and potentially leveraging tools like AI to make the kind of least cost options available to merchants, so they can actually take payments quicker with lower risk, more easily. But equally, if you start looking at the challenges that some of the fintechs themselves have, many of these fintechs have to process payments, onboard regulated companies, they need to onboard standard merchants. So if you think about the onboarding journey, a little bit like any consumer in the world that might apply for a credit card or might apply for a loan, when I onboard a business, I've got all those checks. Who are you? Where are you? What's your credit risk? There's a lot of investment going into that, making it easier for merchants to onboard, making it easier for people to use and adopt these systems.
Yeah.
So we're working a lot in this area to help fintechs streamline those onboarding processes and help them come up with new ways of working.
And thinking about Endava as an organisation, you've got 12,000 colleagues across 6 continents. So how do you manage the balance between keeping all of those people connected and engaged, but also enabling them to perform at their best in their local cultures?
I think communication's at the heart of it. We make it a key part of our ethos to work in collaboration as teams. We use a lot of digital tools and technology to actually make that easier for teams to collaborate between LATAM and Central Europe, or Central Europe and Vietnam and various other locations where we operate. But the heart of it is that these teams can talk to each other. But there's also need to always be an ongoing appreciation of the different cultures in the different locations, the different time zones, and taking that into consideration when people are working together. So it's a careful balance of kind of respect and tools and approaches that we use to make sure we can get the best out of our colleagues and help our customers in the best way. Probably just to add to it, we find many of our customers have got these same challenges, so we can quite often align our colleagues in the right regions to actually work with those customers in the right regions as well, giving them kind of a full reach around the actual world. So.
Yeah, perfect. That sounds ideal. And so what's on the horizon for Endava?
Probably more of what I've talked about, kind of how do we keep helping fintechs carry on building the next generation of products. AI is going to be a huge part to play for us. The processors want to know more about how things are running and how they can leverage AI. Customers want to know how they can get more out of AI from a merchant perspective. And at the heart of that, data. That's just going to be at the heart of us taking today's products and making them a step forward for tomorrow, leveraging some of the tools like AI to do that.
Yeah, great. Sounds really exciting. Well, that's been super. Andy Davies, thank you so much for talking to me today.
No, thank you.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be speaking with Justin Poiroux, who's co-founder and CTO of Yellow Card. Justin, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me today. I'm very excited.
Excellent, isn't it? And it's a pleasure. So tell us a little bit about Yellow Card. Where did the idea for the company come about, and which countries are you now serving?
Yeah, so Yellow Card originally started as my co-founder and I trying to put a crypto-denominated gift card in stores across the U.S. Add a gift card rack in Walmart or CVS. Buy your techie nephew a $50 gift card worth of Ethereum. This is back in 2016 or so. While we were building out this technology and this business, we actually met a Nigerian professor at our university that we were attending that would send $500 back home to his family in Lagos, Nigeria every month. And the banks were charging him $90 in international wire fees every single month. And so we walked up to this man and said, hey, have you ever heard of Bitcoin? You could basically do this same thing, but for free and almost free and almost instant at the time. And then later that night, my co-founder and I were thinking, yes, we can help this man transfer this store of value from Alabama to Lagos, Nigeria, but how does this family actually extract that value at the end? And ever since then, we pivoted from being the gift card, more gimmicky product to an actual product that can have utility and help people across the African continent, especially when it comes to money flows to and from the US. So fast forward today, we are the largest and first licensed stablecoin on and off ramp for the African continent. We operate in 20 countries, providing individuals and businesses access to stablecoins, treasury management, the ability to do international payments, on and off ramping as well. It's been a long journey.
Excellent, that's such a great story. And you're speaking at a session tomorrow. It's called The Purpose Fit, Why Mission Matters as Much as Product. So what key points are you making there?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this session because when I think back, and I think one of my points will be my learnings for other founders or young founders trying to start a company is that it's very easy to get hyper-focused on your product. When looking back, whether we were cognizant of it or not, we were very mission-focused from the get-go. So if you think back of us trying to do a gift card product, we had technology that was working, this voucher-based system, and then we met this professor that had a real problem. And we realized, oh wow, our product can kind of mold to whatever it needs to be as long as our mission is aligned. And so that's kept us, on the straight path for 8 years now, where we're just hyper-focused on financial inclusion, making the kind of modern payment fintech stack that we know in the US and Europe, making that readily available to whoever needs it across the African continent.
Yeah.
So that's going to be my big focus, as well as talking about kind of how a mission impacts your team, the dynamics around it, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess picking up on that, tell us about the workplace culture at Yellow Card.
Yeah, so I'm very biased, but I think we have a very vibrant and very fun culture. I mean, we have over 200 employees. 99% of them are in Africa. We're spread across 20 different cultures of people, working in these these kind of Pan-African teams working with Americans, working with Europeans, in a way that everyone is constantly coming with different cultures, different experiences, and just seeing that meld together is just such a really cool and vibrant thing. I mean, we shift off on our all-hands team call on a weekly basis. A different person from a different team, from a different country is presenting. They start that session by playing often, music from their country that, is popular there, and everybody gets to hear that. We've got multiple Slack channels where people are sharing, either their music, things going on in their country, and it's had a pretty awesome impact where it's almost become our superpower at Yellow Card. Or diversity is really pushing us forward. I mean, we trust the individuals on the team to be our local experts. I mean, I think it'd be foolish if we've got 2 American guys thinking they know everything about operating a business in Africa. No, we're in 20 countries. We've got to build out that team. And so we have a lot of trust and a lot of kind of autonomy, I would say, across the team. And it helps kind of, you have the two sides of the coin, sharing of the culture, also the autonomy, so you have that confidence, and it just blends to a really vibrant and fun environment.
Yeah, that sounds great. And how do you find the key talent you need to blend into those teams?
Yeah, I mean, our culture is very important to us, and retaining and finding the right individuals to join this team is one of the most crucial processes that we have, at Yellow Card. So I'm the CTO, I manage over 50 engineers, so I'll speak a little bit, on that perspective where engineers are historically, especially in the world of fintech, some of the most difficult team members to keep happy and to retain. They got a lot of opinions, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's kind of my earlier points about autonomy. Like, when we bring on individuals, we want them to feel like they can actually make change. If they have an idea, they have some insight that maybe the leadership team, whoever doesn't have, that they feel like they can put this thought out there, have it actually gain some traction and see it implemented all the way through. I think the combination of that, having a very diverse team, is something that people want more and more, especially in this remote world where we're so cut off from each other. Often we can be in like our own little echo chambers. By having very diverse, pan-continental teams and from the US and Europe, it leads itself to a really just well-oiled machine where people are sharing different ideas, different perspectives, and I think that has, pretty strong ties to retention, where people feel like they're actually making a change. And then tying back, of course, with a mission, us being so consistent and dedicated in our mission, I think trickles down to our employees, our partners, investors, things like that, where they understand what they're trying to build, what we're trying to achieve, and it's very easy to align on that if you've got a strong mission. And so I think the combination of those three things have really helped us build out and retain some top talent. I mean, I'm biased, but I like to say we've got the best engineers on the continent.
Excellent. Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. And so, excitingly, where do you want to take the business next?
Yeah, so for the longest time, we were primarily focused on kind of the retail, small business side of things across Africa. And something that we've learned through the past few years is that, you've got a lot of small businesses that, mom and pop stores everywhere. Almost, you find someone on the street, they have a side hustle, a side business, whether they're doing auto body repairs or importing beauty supplies and reselling. There's just everyone's an entrepreneur on the continent. And so we are, and this is a pretty recent kind of focus of ours, is growing out that business and B2B enterprise side of things. And so we have been taking a lot of the technology and infrastructure that we've been building out, for the 20 countries that we operate in, and making that available to companies across the continent as well as the US and Europe, so that they don't have to go through all of the hurdles and hassles that we had to be able to operate, in all of these countries across Africa. We've got a single API and now a widget that they can easily embed and have treasury management, do KYC, do global payments, collect on and off ramps, collect money, send money. And so that's a really big focus of ours, is sort of, again, in the idea of financial inclusion, but making businesses across the world be able to come and experience Africa.
Yeah, that sounds great, and I wish you all the best with that. So, Justin Poiroux, thank you so much for your time. It's been great to speak to you.
Oh, it's been fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks again to all our guests who took the time to come and speak with us here at Remote Stand at Money2020 Europe. I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please do like, follow and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
And if you'd like to get in touch with the show, you can find us on all the usual social media channels or use our contact form on the website csuitepodcast.com. You can find me, I'm Debbie West, and my colleague Graham Barrett on LinkedIn. But for now, thank you so much and goodbye.